Thank you for taking some time out today to join us. My name's Ian Ashwood from Nasstar. I'm going to be supported today by Matt John from Fortinet. The session that we've got is going to be recorded and will be available if you'd like to review afterwards. I've also got the slide deck that I can make available to you as well if you prefer. Right, just some housekeeping. If you've got any questions throughout the presentation, please just add those to the chat and we'll pick those up at the end. We'll get going. Some of you may have connectivity from Nasstar, or indeed HSCN connectivity from Nasstar. If you don't, then we've been on the main frameworks for many years now, and we're one of the largest providers of HSCN connectivity to the NHS, courts and police and other organisations. For many, connectivity solutions were maybe scoped several years ago, and a lot has changed in the world in the last few years, and we're now kind of settling down in that post-pandemic era where life has changed for many. Business critical applications, they're already moving to the cloud, but as a result of COVID, we started seeing an acceleration in that as well. Hybrid working became quite normal, and most of the UK workforce is spending more time working remotely, still collaboratively working with colleagues, but using the online meeting applications such as Teams, as we're on today. The healthcare industry, it's always going to have that need for staff to be on site in certain locations, so accessing the corporate network directly is always going to be essential. But with budgets being squeezed, sometimes there's limitations on the affordable bandwidth to certain sites and certain locations. So we need to make sure that moving forward we can be able to optimize that bandwidth, really getting your best value for money, really particularly on the circuits, using the best use of the circuits for those business critical or applications that you've got there. The Fortinet solutions we're going to go through today will end up providing you greater visibility of application performance, prioritization, and the ability to dynamically control and adapt to real-time issues. The Nasstar management portal that sits alongside this will provide yourselves and our service managers an enhanced tool set for performance and analysis, and it allows us to provide informed recommendations and optimization. So if there was a need to increase bandwidth at a site, then there's a real justification that we can put behind that to support any internal business cases that you've got. So I'm going to hand over to Matt to just tell you more about how Fortinet are setting up their proposition really to support the healthcare sector. Thanks, Matt.
Brilliant. Cheers, Ian. Thank you. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for your time today. So as Ian said, I'm Matthew John. So I'm a systems engineer for Fortinet. I'm actually dedicated to the healthcare sector. So today I'm going to talk about the trends and challenges in the healthcare sector, how Fortinet can help, and specifically how Fortinet Secure SD-WAN can help. So we're seeing some common trends and challenges in UK healthcare, and these really can be summarised with or by digital acceleration, a work from anywhere, and that differs to a working from home. Work from anywhere is we're working from not just home but cafes, as well as the office, so we're encompassing sort of an umbrella term for all of that. So work from anywhere, and then we've got challenges identified relating to staffing and also the threat landscape. So under the digital acceleration banner then, this is really being fueled by the NHS's long-term plan, and that called out technology as a crucial element in transforming the NHS. So within it, it stipulates a goal of providers advancing to a core level of digitalisation by 2024. And in doing this, the view is that we're going to enable things like sharing of information and establishment of virtual clinics. And this is all to improve, patient outcomes. And we're already seeing this take shape. So we're seeing things like the new ICSs that are being put together now. And also, the pathology project, that's another great example of this, where we're getting, 29 new pathology centres being set up across the UK. Now, with regards to the work from anywhere then, so no surprises here, but, due to COVID, there was a huge transition to work from anywhere. And even as we recover from COVID, there's still this expectation that this is going to continue. So the rush for remote working as the COVID hit also means that people are now starting to revisit those remote access solutions to add on or to layer on another level of security, and also address like the performance issues where we've had suddenly all these people working from home. Under the people challenges side of things, and so this is quite an interesting one, I find, at least, that really you see three aspects to this. So there's a real concern of burnout of NHS staff, and so much so that UK Parliament ordered an inquiry into it, and they confirmed it as an issue, as I'm sure everyone's aware, really. The second aspect of that, though, is that the cyber workforce. NHS Digital have said in 2022 it's going to be the year of the digital profession. According to the government report, though, that was published fairly recently, there's going to be a 14,000 shortfall of people to any cyber roles. And then the final one, we've got the biggest squeeze on public sector pay in 20 years and the cost of living crisis going on. So attracting and even retaining staff is going to be a challenge. And this is only going to, exacerbate the 2 points I've just previously made. The threat side of things. Okay, so we've got more sophisticated threats than we ever have. We've got a rise in ransomware as a service. We've got swarm bots going on. We've got enhanced or artificial intelligence enhancing hacking tools. So all that are being used, and we've got an ever expanding attack surface for those hackers to go after. So we also have the issues in Ukraine, and this has caused the CEO of NHS England and the NCSE to advise the NHS to bolster their defences. And the threats in the healthcare, they are very real. So 20% of the incidents handled by the NCSE last year were in healthcare. And that equates to the NCSE dealing with a serious cyber incident in healthcare every 2 1/3 days. So, and then if we look at what sort of damage, these attacks can do in healthcare, we've only got to look at the Iris HSC. That was actually taken down for 10 days with a ransomware attack, and that had an estimated cost of 422 million. So there's some of the trends and challenges in the healthcare, and I want to take a bit of time now to talk about Fortinet SD-WAN and how it can be used to address these challenges. So first off, I need to tell you a bit about Fortinet Secure SD-WAN. So to comprehend the full potential of Fortinet's SD-WAN, it's important to understand that it's a component of a single integrated system, which we call the security fabric. So it's also known as a mesh architecture these days. That's quite a new term being coined. So the graphic on the screen that you can see there, this is a representation of the fabric. So Fortinet actually started building this over a decade ago, and 10 years on, this architecture is now being vindicated by Gartner, who is singing the praises of a cybersecurity mesh architecture. So they're touting the benefits of this, of a mesh architecture, as being able to reduce the financial impact of a breach by up to 90%. So that's huge. And if we think of if we think back to the Iris HSE, that ransomware attack that happened, that 422 million that cost is the estimation. So that actually that could reduce the cost of that breach by up to 380 million, which is just massive. So the fabric then, just a little bit on the fabric then. The fabric is a suite of best of breed products. So it's organically built from the ground up to provide full integration and automation. And if we look at the graphic, in the center of that, we have our industry-leading threat intelligence, and that underpins the entire fabric. So all those threat feeds go into all of our products. Then we have products that fall within three main pillars, and these pillars are zero trust, the cloud security pillar, and secure networking. And then we have our fabric management center. So this is the network operations center and security operations center, and that's for the entire fabric. And then the last element of this is our open ecosystem. So connectivity to third-party systems, so existing systems that you've got in play today or into the cloud. The SD-WAN that we're going to talk about today then, so that's one of the products that we've got, which is sitting within the secure networking pillar. Okay, so first off, I'm going to take a minute now to define Fortinet's interpretation of SD-WAN, because there's a few different out there, and yeah, and this is the way that we see it. So Fortinet's secure SD-WAN, it's a feature, so it's included for free within the FortiGate firewall. And what it does is it allows the FortiGate to simply, and by simply we mean it's easy to manage, it's easy to maintain, and it's easy to deploy. So it allows the FortiGate to simply use the breadth paths to reach an application. And we determine this by looking at how the application is performing over the WAN links in real time. And then being able to take advantage of the advanced quality of service tools whilst accelerating VPN tunnels, and of course applying next-gen firewall security, including crucially SSL inspection. Okay, so why SD-WAN? Where's this drive coming from? So the drive for SD-WAN has really come about due to both applications and users no longer residing on corporate premises. So within that nice defined perimeter that we always used to have. And we can see this in healthcare with applications now available on the internet, as well as in public and private clouds, and then of course employees working from anywhere effectively. If we also look at NHS digital principles, we can see that they've called out, internet and public first, and this is what we should be doing. In addition to putting the user needs first, so their experience and making their working life better. Now, the current WAN edge, it's not without its problems, and this change has effectively exacerbated them. So the current architecture, it was never designed to accommodate this. And so at the network edge, we had a number of different products. The traffic patterns were inefficient because we were either sending it, to the data center and out to the internet that way, or inefficient traffic patterns. And the application performance was then unpredictable. Visibility of the applications in use was probably at best limited to non-existent, and also visibility of the application performance was again limited to non-existent as well. So essentially what this all boils down to is we end up with poor user experience, we have high WAN costs, it's very complex to operate, to manage, and there's an increased risk to the business as well. So the good news is that SD-WAN can solve this. And if we take a look at what you need at the network edge, you need 4 components, or really 4 distinct capabilities. So the first one is the SD-WAN element. So we need a way of identifying the applications and steering them over the best path at that point in time. We also need to be thinking about security. So especially if we're directly connecting to the internet, as is generally happening these days, we need to be looking at providing a next-gen firewall to secure that internet access. Even internally, having a firewall to segment the different sites is best practice. And then underneath all this, we need our old traditional routing, so BGP and OSPF and things. So we need all this underneath because essentially SD-WAN is an overlay service on top of that. So it doesn't replace it, it's an enhancement to it. And then we have zero trust network access. So this is quite a new term being coined, really. So zero trust network access, this really refers to connecting the user regardless of where they are to the applications that they need. But we need to do this securely, so ensuring they are who they say they are, that they're using, the posture of that machine is good, so it's clean, it's got antivirus on it, it's up to date and things. It doesn't have any vulnerabilities on the applications that are running on it. And also, we need to give them access, or need to ensure that they only have access to the applications that they actually need. So we don't want to open the gates to absolutely everything. We need to restrict them to reduce the security risk. Now, typically for all of this, you need 4 products, and therefore you need 4 management consoles. But being able to manage them, that's only half the battle. However, we also need to give ourselves visibility and ideally analytics. So we're talking, 5 products really, possibly more, depend on how we're doing the visibility and the analytics. Now, that's not the case with Fortinet. So this is, if you choose Fortinet, what we can offer then is, so built within our FortiGate next-gen firewall is all of those components. So we have the SD-WAN functionality, we have the next-gen firewall functionality, we have the advanced routing, and we also have ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access. And Fortinet is the only Gartner leader in the industry that can roll all of that functionality up into a single product. And the reason we're able to consolidate all of this functionality is really because of 2 things. The first is we've created our own hardware chips. So this is 20 years in development of hardware chips. So we've created our own hardware chips, and we were the first vendor, and I think we are the only vendor ever to have created a hardware specific SD-WAN chip. So we're able to give you the performance that you need to consolidate all these products down into a single appliance. The other side of it as well is that this was all developed in-house. So it wasn't an acquisition or a bolt-on. This was built from the ground up and embedded into our products, or into the FortiGate firewall, really. So what's the impact of deploying Fortinet Secure SD-WAN? So on this slide, I've broken it up into 2 types of outcomes. So the first top row is the IT outcomes. So what this does, if you choose a solution, then it provides you the tools you need to control traffic on an application basis. So you can ensure your business critical apps, so things like EMIS, they're not deteriorating due to things like YouTube taking the bandwidth, for example. We can also look at the paths the applications are taking and determine if they are suitable for that application, and if not, we can automatically reroute those over to one there is. It also embeds the security controls directly into the appliance, so you can apply this to all your different traffic flows. And then all of this is rolled up under a single intelligent AI enhanced management platform, which then, so that minimizes operation overhead, it reduces the complexity, and also it reduces the time to adopt. Now, where our customers have deployed this, we've had the reports back on their business outcomes, and you can see these are the bottom row on the screen there. This is in the blue. This is the business outcomes. So what they've reported back is they've had superior user experience and increased productivity of staff. That's particularly relevant in the NHS because they have such high workloads. We've got a reduction in business risk, and this has been achieved with high availability and also improving the security posture. We've also seen, or they've also reported back, a much lower total cost of ownership. And the way they're measuring this is things like CapEx and OpEx, looking at the lines, looking at the training of their staff, looking at the equipment that they've needed to deploy it. So it's all rolled up into a single element, and yeah, it's produced a much lower total cost of ownership than the traditional ways of doing things. Now, I want to take you back to the trends and challenges that I mentioned earlier and some examples of how this can help then. So SD-WAN, it provides accelerated network performance, and we're talking regardless of whether this is in or your applications are hosted in a public cloud, a private cloud, or even SaaS-based applications. So we're going to enhance or accelerate that network performance and provide better visibility and user experience. solution also supports work from anywhere, so regardless of whether your users are working in the office or whether they're working from a cafe or whether they're working from working from home, we're able to securely connect these users with embedded security, and that goes back to that ZTNA piece that I mentioned earlier. With regards to the people, then, in terms of the burnout challenge, so if people have access to better tools and those tools are reliable and they're making their working lives easier, then it's going to reduce their stress and their burnout. It's also going to allow them to securely work from the place that they are most comfortable and yeah, reduce the cost to them. So it makes it a more attractive piece. And then with regards to the cybersecurity or the cyber workforce, having a single automated system means reduced complexity in training and more efficient operations. So this is going to reduce the burden and stress on the IT staff. And finally, you know, with the evolving threats, then, so Fortinet is the #1 cybersecurity company in the world, and this system has been built from the ground up with embedded industry-leading threat intelligence and automation at its core. And we only have to look at Gartner's vindication of, you know, of the MES architecture, which Fortinet actually identified and started building over a decade ago. And you can see that Fortinet are really leading the way here. So the fabric, you know, it's aligned to the trends and challenges of the UK's healthcare, but it's also aligned to the NHS Digital Architecture principles. And we can see, so I've taken these principles, the high-level principles, and we've got them on the screen there. And we can see we've got green ticks across these, and just some examples. I'm not going to go through all of these in the interest of time, but just to call out a couple of these. So sustainable services, delivering sustainable services. So because we're able to, you know, consolidate devices into a single appliance, we're going to reduce space, heating, cooling. So there's a big tick on that one. Adopting appropriate security standards. Well, yeah, Fortinet is, you know, we're a security company. It's the only SD-WAN out there that's got security baked into it. So yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, moving more towards browser-based apps. Well, that means more SSL traffic on the network. So being able to decrypt that SSL traffic and scan it for threats, and then make sure it's clean and send it on the way without detrimenting the performance of the applications. Again, that's it's another green tick there. So I hope I've demonstrated alignment to, you know, your challenges and your future goals, but I also wanted to show you how the industry view us. So first off, you know, we're recognised in 8 Gartner Magic Quadrants and also in Forrester and IDC and a bunch of other analysts. However, I wanted to concentrate on the recognition of our SD-WAN. On the left-hand graphic there, then, so the Gartner Magic Quadrant for WAN Edge, you can see that we're leading the way here. WAN Edge, SD-WAN to everyone else, really, but yeah, the WAN Edge, so we're leading the way there. Within that report, they break out a number of different use cases. So three of which I put on the screen here. So the first one, and we're ranked first in all of these, as you can see, and it shows you against our competitors. So yeah, we're ranked first across these. So secure remote accessing is one of them. Small branch, another use case. Crucially, again, you know, security sensitive WAN as well. So, and I think, you know, these 3 use cases are particularly important to healthcare. So on the right hand side of this as well, we've got the Gartner Magic Quadrant for network firewalls, and I've put this here because the SD-WAN functionality, as I've said, is embedded in our FortiGate firewalls. So how good are our FortiGate firewalls? So you can see that we're leading the way there as well, and when you buy a FortiGate firewall, you also get the SD-WAN functionality within it for free. So effectively, you get a Gartner leading firewall and an SD-WAN appliance at the same time for the price of a firewall. And with that, Ian, I'm going to pass it back over to you. Ian's going to talk about our collaborative approach. Thanks,
Max. Lovely. Okay. So every organisation has got some different priorities, some different needs. There's going to be systems that are in place, legacy architecture, all those kind of things that need to be considered when adopting any kind of change. We understand how to manage this change. We've worked with a lot of healthcare organisations. It may be blue light acute, it can be GP practices where you don't have any IT staff on site, and there's different considerations that we have to think when we're deploying. But it is making sure that we've got that we maintain that service availability. It's least disruptive as we can to the different GP practices or hospitals or organisations that we work in. So understanding that transition, that change, we'll sit down with you. It has to be kind of bespoke to everybody, because we need to understand what we're doing and how we're going to deliver it and what works best for you. So once we have that solution delivered, we're then going to get this enhanced data set from Fortinet, and more that gives you and us really more visibility of the network, the application performance, how users, their experience of using applications on that network. So then that allows our service management team to have more of a better understanding of what's working on the network, what isn't working on the network. I think Matt mentioned EMIS, which is nationally it's been challenged at times, but making sure that the bandwidth is there for us. And that goes on throughout the life of the contract. We will have our monthly reviews with you. We'll look at the performance of the network, check the capacity on the bandwidth. Is there anything else we can do? There's certain applications that we could send over a secondary connection to free up some bandwidth on the primary connection, that kind of thing. So that it's not necessarily always about having to chuck more money to increase the bandwidth all the time. Next slide, please, Matt. Thanks. So there is a managed service proposition that we've got really. So the standard is much of the sort of standard service delivery, and much like you've had in traditional MPLS or the HSCN connections that you've got. It just we have a portal that allows you to go in to access that data, pull out reports. So there may be reports you don't need to wait for us all the time. If you want to investigate certain applications on the network, you can have a look at that yourselves. We can work with you to pull those reports and really get an understanding and try and give that 360 view of what's going on site, what's being a challenge, and what's working as well is equally as important. But really trying to give the IT staff much more information than they've ever had before. So that would tend to be the standard and enhanced service delivery options. Thanks. Next slide, please, Matt. So just really, I suppose the process around with that, we would really start with that consultative approach to get some data collection, really understanding what your needs are from that. Network performance and application usage there. Once the solution's delivered, we're trying to bring those reports in, and it is just that onward and continual review of what's working on the network, making sure that the end user experience is, because from the clinical staff that are on site, it's just essential for them to be as productive as possible. So many of the organisations are under a lot of stress at the moment, trying to deliver best services available to them, and really we need to make sure that the IT infrastructure is an aid to that and not a hindrance at all. So it's giving us and you more data to try and help those end users and get that really the best possible feedback from those end users on site, because it makes a huge difference. Thanks, Matt. So it's got kind of got to the end of where we were bang on time. We were looking for about half an hour there, so that's great. I don't know if there's any questions that have come through in chat. Rebecca, I don't know if you can see those.
Yeah, we've had a couple come through. So the first one is around how Fortinet can grow. So the question is, can the Fortinet product grow as we grow in line with our digital transformation journey?
Yeah, so I can take that. That's straightforward. Yeah, absolutely. The solution scales. You can add additional capability to it as and when you need to as you move forward, and yeah, additional licenses and capabilities can be added to the box. So yeah, not a problem to that. You can also, as you grow the organisation and you add different services or swap different services out, you can integrate that with that open ecosystem to take advantage of the whole system really.
Well, the next question I've got is about integration. So the question is, what about integration to non-Fortinet technologies?
That's okay. Yeah, so that open ecosystem that I spoke about before in the fabric, that basically provides API access into. We've got over 500 ecosystem partners that we integrate, and this seems to be, in fact, it's probably even more than that now. This seems to be growing almost on a daily basis. So integrating with things like VMware, for example, or integrating with Cisco ACI, all those type of technologies. It's all there, it's embedded, you're getting that direct verified integration between the two. That's easy for, easy for Nasstar and yourselves to, integrate and deploy and take advantage of. So yeah, it's fully comprehend, it's not going to be all Fortinet day one. Or it might not ever be for all Fortinet, but taking advantage of your existing systems, fully understand, or even on the migration process, then yeah, it's there.
I've got another question. Are Fortinet the only provider of the consolidated approach?
Yeah, so we are the only provider. Yeah, in the Gartner Magic Quadrants, we're the only leader that is able to provide that consolidated approach. Yes.
Ian, I think this one's probably more for you. How do we know if Fortinet will work for us?
Okay, all right. So that really, that's back to that. So the early scoping and the consultative sessions early on, just really making sure that it is the right fit for you. There obviously there's choice in the market, but making sure that what your needs and requirements are going to be addressed within this Fortinet solution that we're putting forward. So yeah, we'll be a frank and open and honest conversation, and making sure that we get the right services and the right solutions for the needs of the organisation.
That's all the questions I've got in the chat at the moment. Obviously, if you have any other questions, let us know. But that's all the ones that are in there for now, guys.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's nothing else going on, okay. What we'll do, we'll bring that then to a close. But thanks to everybody for their time today, and I hope it's been beneficial. And you will get the link to the slide to the recording after this, and if you would like the slide deck, then we can get that across to you as well. But thanks very much for your time, and I hope to speak to you soon. Thanks, Matt, as well, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.